Welcome to Jesse Watters Primetime. Tonight,
you can call it the Strait of Hormuz or the Hormuz Strait. The only thing you can't call it is the Trump Strait. They don't like that idea.
The gay Ayatollah closed for business.
If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance. Now.
The accusations and allegations against former Representative Swalwell are despicable and disgusting. There were many other Democrats in this town on Capitol Hill who knew about his behavior, and why were they silent for so long?
Inside D.C.'s dirty little blackmail ring.
There are so many people inside Washington, D.C. that have much worse on them than what's going on inside of this video.
Taxpayer funded, free.
Yeah, even though you're undocumented, you can get it.
Are you happy with the results?
Yes.
Immigrants are getting free boob jobs.
We've been promoting universal health care for all, regardless of your immigration status.
Plus,
you've been a bad dog.
Woof, woof.
Fox News alert, Iran's closed for business. 2 straight days and 0 ships have gone in and out of their ports. They're strangled. They can't buy or sell anything. And Trump's trying to put his name on their stuff.
You can call it the Strait of Hormuz or the Hormuz Strait. I said, which is better? They said, either is okay, but you can call it either one. The only thing you can't call it is the Trump Strait. They don't like that idea.
Whether the Iranians like it or not, it's our water. Our guided missile destroyers are parked right off their coast, and they haven't done a thing about it. Not a missile, not a rocket, not even a peep from the Mosquito fleet. 10 tankers with Iranian oil tried to bust out, and we turned around all 10. Any ship that gets close, here's this, listen.
The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is illegal action. All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving and discontinue transit to Iran if that is your next port of call. Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded for interdiction and seizure transiting to or from an Iranian port. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance. Now.
Soon we'll have 3 carriers in the Gulf, the Lincoln, Ford, and Bush. The Lincoln has 5,000 sailors and Marines on board, executing the blockade from the Arabian Sea. The Ford's in the eastern Mediterranean, and the Bush is screaming up the Horn of Africa with 6,000 men ready for anything. In a week or so, we'll have the USS Boxer, an amphibious assault ship. The Marines on board are conducting chemical, radiological, and nuclear threat training, just in case. The USS Tripoli is also pulling blockade duty. Here are the boys conducting on-board close-quarters training. These are the guys that rappel down from choppers and seize the ship's captain if a vessel with Iranian cargo doesn't follow orders. The Navy's loving the blockade. You know who else is? Morning Joe. He's hearing the same things we are.
They are actually very positive about the blockade. They believe the dynamics have changed radically and that Iran went from having time on their side to Iran now understanding they are going to have to eventually come to a deal. They're degraded radically when it comes to their military operations, and now they're really starting to feel the heat economically if the United States, they say, will continue the blockade.
Iran's on the brink of bankruptcy. They're bleeding over $400 million a day. According to my math, that's $1.3 billion vaporized since Monday. And in less than 2 weeks, they'll have to cap their oil wells. Once the money dries up, their military will miss paychecks, and that could get ugly. On top of the naval blockade, Treasury's unleashing Operation Economic Fury. We're going to bomb their bank accounts. Iran attacked their Arab neighbors, and now it's payback.
We have pushed out to them the request that we want to freeze more funds of the leadership of the IRGC and any members of Iranian leadership. We have told countries that if you are buying Iranian oil, that if Iranian money is sitting in your banks, we are now willing to apply secondary sanctions, which is a very stern measure. And the Iranians should know that this is going to be the financial equivalent of what we saw in the kinetic activities.
The regime's cooked. The commander-in-chief says We're deep into the fourth quarter, basically, and we're about this close to the mercy rule being called.
I had to divert, because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
The Iranians want round 2 of peace talks. And the Chinese are begging them to go back to Pakistan because now Beijing starting to feel the heat.
2 Chinese banks received letters from the U.S. Treasury. I'm not going to identify the banks, but we told them that if we can prove that there is Iranian money flowing through your accounts, then we are willing to put on secondary sanctions.
Xi Jinping got a bit prickly about the embargo. Now wants the whole war over. He sent a letter to Trump, a love letter.
He's somebody that needs oil. We don't. He's somebody I get along with very well. He just wrote me a beautiful letter.
He wrote you a letter?
Yeah, he did. He responded to a letter that I wrote because I had heard that China is giving weapons to, I mean, you're seeing it all over the place, to Iran, that China's
Did he
giving
say he's
weapons.
giving them?
Yeah, and I wrote him a letter asking him not to do that. And he wrote me a letter saying that essentially he's not doing that.
Trump says the Chinese are actually happy that we're opening up the strait, saying this: Xi will give me a big fat hug when I get there in a few weeks. Beijing can't buy any more cheap sanctioned Iranian oil, and now every Chinese trade route to the west is controlled by the U.S. Navy. But the Chi-Coms are welcome to buy American, and they already are. The U.S. oil market is open for business, and it is booming. Big oil just had its biggest payday in history. The United States just hit an all-time high all week, exporting 5 million barrels a day. Over 100 tankers are lining up off the Gulf of America to get their frantic little hands on our sweet, sweet crude. And it's not just crude. We're shipping everything from gas, jet fuel, diesel at record levels. And we're getting over 1 million barrels a day from our new amigos in Venezuela. Oil futures for June just dropped into the 80s. Prices at the pump are down from last week's highs and still falling.
If you told me that we were going to be at only $92 a barrel, $92 a barrel, I would have been very surprised. Gasoline's coming down very soon and very big.
So you think gas prices will be lower before the midterm elections?
I think they'll be much lower before midterm, much lower.
After 6 weeks of the war, gas is still cheaper than it was under Biden. And the S&P and NASDAQ just hit all-time highs. That's right, the stock market is at all-time highs. All the losses from the war erased, and we're back at it. It's been one of the best 10-day runs in market history. And hats off to the War Department. We wiped out the Ayatollah and his whole military in 6 weeks. And Iran can't trade with anybody except themselves. We lost more aircraft during training drills last year than we did during this entire war. We were told this was a quagmire. There was no strategy. They even told us Iran was winning. Now, I don't know how you win a war without an Air Force, Navy, or money. It's probably wishful thinking. On top of that, China and Russia haven't done a single thing to stop us, not a single thing, in Venezuela or Iran. Our enemies got exposed, and our allies, well, we know who our true allies really are.
Did you see Europe is now drafting a program and plan to open up the Hormuz Strait without the United States?
It's so sad. We're doing it now. By the way, it's opening. The ships are coming back and forth. Oh, without the United States. It just shows you, how can you have a country, how can you have a group of countries with that attitude? Look at Greenland. We should have Greenland to protect the world against Russia and China. This country should not be paying trillions of dollars to NATO.
And this just in, sources tell USA Today that the Pentagon is planning a decisive operation to force the communists to capitulate in Cuba. So it looks like Trump's going for the hat trick. Harley Lipman's a foreign policy and geopolitical expert. Harley, this naval blockade, I don't want to sound like this war is over, but it does look like this would put the finishing touches on it.
No, absolutely. And when you think about Trump's strategy, where all his critics said he didn't have one, they were all wrong. There is a strategy. And here's how it works in warfare. You have an enemy. You first try to change their intentions. You have peace talks, which is what he did. He saw they weren't sincere about it. Then you take away their capability. So a lot of people said, well, how come he didn't block the Straits of Hormuz before instead of going to war? No, you don't want to leave them with an Air Force and with a Navy and all these weapons to threaten their neighbors. So you take it out. Step 2, which he did brilliantly. Step 3, you choke them economically in the Strait of Hormuz, which is where China gets 40 to 50% of its oil. So that's a real choke point. Now, when you add to that, where else is China getting oil? The Straits of Malacca, controlled by Indonesia. The United States just upgraded our defense agreement with Indonesia. Is that a coincidence? Not likely. It's part of a strategy. That's the third kibosh to China, where now when he goes to meet with them, he's got leverage. They want oil, Trump could turn it off. So they have to behave with Taiwan or trade or other things. So this is where, even if there may be a step back here and there, because wars are not perfect and there are some setbacks, directionally, he's on the cusp of a great victory.
And we don't want to say it's over. We have no idea what's going to happen. Like you said, it's very unpredictable, but it does look like he's about to stick the landing. The American energy dominance factor. We're setting records for oil exports. That's also part of the strategy, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I'll add another component. Our Gulf allies, they sell oil to China, and China supplies weapons to Iran. So we have to work with our Gulf allies and tell them, and work as a partnership, and tell China, if you're going to sell weapons to Iran, we're not going to sell you oil. Another part of the strategy. You put that all together, that's going to prevent a war, because China has told their military leaders, be prepared for war in 2027. That's a year away. It's going to be very hard for China to go to war over Taiwan if Trump has leverage over oil with them, which he does. So Trump is creating a world where it's going to be very unlikely there'll be a war, and he's creating peace in the world. And his critics don't give him credit for that. They can't get over their hatred of Trump. And I would hope to see, when I look at the press and it's filled with so much criticism, I hope they apologize to President Trump, because they've been very unfair.
You know, I was watching CNN in between the 5 and the 8, because we're in there, we're writing shows. We have all the channels on, and you look at their banners, and their banners are Iranian propaganda. Oh. It's Iran says we're going to close the Red Sea. Iran says they got a bunch of oil out through the blockade. I'm like, you're just gonna listen to what the gay Ayatollah says and put it on CNN? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know, they just have a defeatist attitude and just don't want to see that he could really have a great strategy. I think that's part of his style. He's unpredictable and wants it to be that way, kept it close to the vest, because you can't do all these things by happenstance. You know, obviously these things are well thought out, and that's the biggest criticism he got. People said, yes, he had tactical victories fighting Iran and taking out their Navy and Air Force, but he didn't have a strategy. He doesn't have an exit ramp. They're wrong. He does.
So everyone's like, oh, well, I'm not going to say Jessica says that. But some people say, oh, you know, now the new leadership in Iran is even more hardline. And, you know, this decapitation strike kind of backfired. And I mean, is that true? And what are they going to do anyway without any money?
Exactly. Doesn't matter who the leadership is. They're on the verge of collapse. We don't see that. They don't allow the media in to explore, but they have huge unemployment. By the way, when all the people went out into the streets for economic reasons and the protests, there was 40% inflation. Now it's 180%. Millions of people are unemployed, and their currency is down by 98% from 2019. They're on the verge of collapse. So whoever is in charge in Iran knows that in a very short time, within a matter of days or weeks, their country is going to be broken.
Do you think you're going to have a revolution?
Well, you have the best chances for it now, and I think it's likely. And I also hope that President Trump gets Starlink into Iran, because the people can communicate. Iran shut down their internet, which cost them $50 million a day. It's been down for 49 days. Their economy is also being hurt by it. But if you could get Starlink in there and the people could communicate, the overwhelming likelihood is they will rise up.
Oh, well, I think he has Elon Musk's cell. That should be an easy call.
I would think so.
Thank you so much for your expertise. Good to see you in the studio.
Good to see you, too.
Good to have you here. The Swalwell saga. Who ordered the code red? Fox News alert, the LADA just opened a rape investigation into Eric Swalwell after a fifth accuser came forward yesterday.
We were supposed to go to a political event, and he said he needed to get paperwork from his hotel room. When I arrived at his hotel room, I was already incapacitated, and I couldn't move my arms or my body. He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
This isn't going away, and the details are lining up. Tuesday's accuser says the alleged rape happened on July 18th, 2018 at the Montrose Hotel. Campaign records show Swalwell spent money at the exact same hotel on the exact same night. No bueno. But Swalwell's lawyer gave us a taste of the defense.
Regret is not rape. So the fact that, a day later, years later, or whatnot, you maybe had shame around what you did, or maybe you were in a relationship and shouldn't have done what you did, doesn't make it rape.
Only a woman could get away with saying something like that. Must be why he hired her. Swalwell was just a piece of silly putty before the Democrat machine turned him into a contender. He stacked up a $7 million war chest from top donors and Hollywood hotshots. Was all that money going to campaign? Or was he using it to seduce staff? Nobody knows. But Democrats don't even care. He was the guy who was going to take Greasy's torch and run with it. So leadership, labor unions, and lobbyists went all in, elevated him and protected him until he got too hot. Irish Rosie feels played. So she says she's swearing off all men.
Well, hey everybody, it's me, Rosie O'Donnell, star of the Flintstones. Yabba dabba do it. Now, can we talk a little bit about Eric Swalwell? I know that guy. In the what kind of way? Like spoke to him on the phone a couple times, donated money to him, I believe, and then all this comes out. It's heartbreaking to me. And I wrote him. I wrote him a little message, and I said, Bill Clinton broke my heart, and now you did too. The conclusion I've come to, men suck. Men suck.
Swalwell did it to himself, but his crooked says it takes a village. Donors, special interests, allies, everybody knew what was floating around. But they kept him in the game and propped him up until it blew up. Now the media says he's a monster. But isn't it the media's job to find that out before he got this far? The media didn't break the story. They're complicit. It started bubbling up online after Swalwell contacted a bunch of the girls to see if they had loose lips before he ran for governor. The girls started talking, started snowballing. Then someone organized the women and fed the scoop to the press, who were locked and loaded on Friday. Do you really think this happened right under Nancy's nose?
I think it's also quite plausible, as you point out, Jack, that there were many other Democrats in this town on Capitol Hill who knew about his perhaps illegal behavior, certainly his disgusting and inappropriate behavior, and why were they silent for so long? I think those are questions that must be raised of these sitting representatives, including Mr. Gallego, and I hope that the journalists in this room will do their jobs, and the journalists on Capitol Hill will do their jobs to ask Democrats in power how they knew about such despicable behavior from one of their elected representatives for so long, but never said or did anything about it.
The Democrat machine groomed a creep, allegedly groomed a rapist. They knew the rumors, but Swalwell was a reliable insider. He was obedient, controllable. He wasn't a freewheeling, wacky billionaire like Tom Steyer or a hot mess like Potatoes. Even though Swalwell was slippery, they backed him. But they should have thrown him out after Fang Fang. The Chinese had him in a honeypot. They were going to blackmail him until the FBI caught wind of it and told Nancy, who'd put him on house intel. And Nancy kept him on house intel as her little pet because she was going to blackmail him. The rumors about Swalwell go back a decade, and nothing gets past Nance.
I'll say this. I have met that woman in some green rooms for Sunday morning shows, and I have sometimes have had my family with me. We'll take a trip to D.C. and look around at the monuments, and then we go back to Texas. She knew everything about my family. She knew my kids. This isn't stuff that's online. She knew this. You cannot tell me that they did not know that Eric Swalwell was engaged in this stuff. I'm not a betting person, but I would put the house on that. So this wasn't a perfectly executed political hit.
We're not saying Nancy knew Swalwell might have raped women. We're not saying that. But she did know he had a zipper problem. Everybody in D.C. knew. Congress is like a sick little club. Most politicians are weird. They get elected, get a little power, and they get freaky. Half the week, they're away from home. They're surrounded by staff half their age who want to climb the ladder. Every night, it's a fundraiser, a dinner, drinks. It's dark. Lobbyists are all looking good. They want stuff. They're in and out of green rooms doing TV hits, getting a little fame. It's an intoxicating scene. And for people like Swalwell, who's not a stand-up guy, they take advantage. You don't think members know? They're all at the same dinners. They all go on the same trips. There's insider trading. There's even a slush fund to settle sex harassment suits. The intelligence agencies know all of it. So does leadership. Dirt's leverage. How do you think they whip the votes?
They are there to hold leverage over you, and that is what's going on. That's what these people get caught up in. And so then this is what I have seen from a lot of other members of Congress is that once they get caught in these kind of rings of people holding this over their head, they said, well, if this is being held over my head, might as well just go ahead and go out and have a good time. And so then they start willfully going out and doing this.
Vote the right way, you're protected. But step out of line, fly too close to the sun, become a liability. The word goes out, and you're taken out.
The real story here is how the Democrat Party controls its members through blackmail. It's got a blackmail file on all of its politicians, and it uses them to leverage and control them until it's time to release it. That is how sick and twisted the Democrat Party is. That's the next thread we've got to pull out here, Jesse.
We're pulling. We're just afraid of what we might find. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley joins us now. Senator, we know Nancy put the hit out on Biden. You think she put the hit out on Swalwell?
Absolutely. I don't have any doubt about it, Jesse, because he had become a liability. And you pointed out she knew all about this. She was briefed by the FBI back in 2020 that the guy was a target of a Chinese spy, Fang Fang. And by the way, Fang Fang probably got a Medal of Commendation. That's like the worst espionage assignment in the history of the world. But Swalwell fell for it. She knew that he was a liability. She knew he was a problem. She could use it as leverage until it blew up in her face, and now he's gone. And Jesse, this is why Congress needs to pass legislation. I'm introducing it today that would deny pensions to every member of Congress who's convicted of a sex offense. Right now, you could be convicted and still get your pension. The only thing the government ought to be paying for people like Eric Swalwell is a jail cell.
Yeah, that's got to be a voice vote. That's got to be unanimous.
Exactly.
Senator, let's say AOC. We assume Nancy or Hakeem Jeffries has something on AOC. What do you think that is? And do you think they use it?
Oh, I think they absolutely use it if they've got it. And I think the way that you get it is you just monitor these people just like they did with Swalwell, and you use it for leverage. I mean, there's a reason that they stay in line, again, until they become liabilities. And you're right about Joe Biden. Who got Joe Biden out of the presidential race? Not Joe Biden. It was Nancy Pelosi once again. I mean, she is a power player. She has got more dirt on every member of her party than anybody else, any intelligence agency could ever hope to. And for my money, I say she's still in control over there.
Yeah, I don't think Hips is in control. I think Nancy kind of runs things from the back room. The FBI, they have files on politicians. They've had them for decades. How do they build them, and then how do they use them?
Well, I assume they build them by just following them around and doing their due diligence. And on people like Swalwell, that wasn't hard because here you've got the guy who actually is, I mean, he's literally sleeping with the Chinese spy. The FBI is the one who tipped off everybody. The guy was doing this out in public. I mean, everybody could see it. So, you know, how do they use them? That's another story. And we saw with the Biden FBI how they were willing to target people. They would absolutely, any leverage they could get on somebody, I'm sure they would use it. This is why they had to go after President Trump. They couldn't get any leverage on him. And so this is the Democrat playbook. They've done it over and over again. And that's why I say, Jesse, cut off the money train. No more money for these people. No more slush funds. No more pensions. No more goodies. Let's put a stop to it today.
Yeah, let's do it. And you're right. They tried to blackmail Trump. Remember that meeting? Comey goes in and says, there's this little tape that's swirling around, you in Russia. I mean, that, and then Trump kind of sniffed it out, got a bad feeling about it, and smoked them. And then that's when the revenge shit happened. These overseas trips, I'm sure you've been on a couple, but Swalwell was notorious for going overseas. He was always like ripping his shirt off, riding around on camels with his buddies. You got to think the FBI knows about any sort of shenanigans that happens overseas. That's their job.
That's their job, and I can tell you, I have been on one or two of these trips overseas, and what we're always told is foreign governments are spying on you as well. And that's why people like Swalwell are such a liability. I mean, you're not just giving leverage to some bad actors in your own party. You're giving leverage to China. I mean, this is why the guy was targeted by the Chinese Communist Party. The whole world knew about this guy. The whole world. Yeah. The idea that the Democrats didn't, give me a break.
Yeah, he was compromised completely. So was Hunter. So was the whole Biden family. What a mess. All right, well, we look forward to you introducing that legislation. That should be a slam dunk. Senator, thank you. More missing rocket scientists. Plus, free breast implants for immigrants? Next. Fox News alert, top U.S. scientists with ties to America's deepest, darkest secrets keep disappearing and dying. The number just hit 10 after a nuclear contractor went missing. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork with more. Kevin.
Evening, Jesse. To quote the great X-Files, the truth is out there. Clearly, someone somewhere must know something about the growing list of missing and or presumed deceased scientists linked to America's top secrets. We are now at 10 people with ties to America's space and nuclear secrets who have mysteriously died or vanished recently. And tonight we're learning even more about the 10th. Stephen Garcia actually vanished late last August. He was a government contractor with top security clearance working at a facility that manufactures nuclear weapon components. He was last seen leaving his Albuquerque home on foot carrying only a handgun, and then he just vanished. Now, that disappearance, similar to that of retired Air Force general and UFO expert Bill McCaslin, who went missing 6 days after President Trump said he'd release the government's UFO files. General McCaslin led a research lab at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, which was rumored to hold extraterrestrial debris. McCaslin was last seen by his wife leaving for a hike with a backpack and a .38 caliber revolver. Another rocket scientist, Monica Reza, also disappeared. She went missing 8 months before the general. She was last seen hiking in California with 2 other people. Now, it should be noted that the missing general had a close professional relationship with Reza and actually oversaw her work on creating futuristic metal for rocket engines. And if that weren't enough to make you wonder what in the world is going on, a separate case shows this. An astrophysicist, he was actually gunned down at his home 11 days before the general disappeared. Carl Grillmeyer was killed on his front porch early in the morning, though the LA Sheriff's Department later charged a man with his murder. Now, you may be wondering, so what does the White House have to say about all this? Well, cue Fox's Peter Doocy.
There are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course.
Well, as mysteries go, this is the kind that Scooby and the gang would have figured out by now, but as of this hour, there's been no unmasking of a villain. But as you heard in that soundbite, the White House is taking this seriously, and they'll get us more details as they get that. Jesse.
Very mysterious. We'll stay on it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Happy tax day. I don't know about happy, but where's your money going? Well, if you live in California, Gavin's spending it on boob jobs for immigrants. Meet Jacqueline, a homeless migrant from Mexico, who spoke to journalists at the Manhattan Institute.
So here in California, they gave you the breast implant here?
Yes.
Free?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Do you feel like that's a good benefit for other migrants here in California?
Yeah, even though you're undocumented, you can get it.
Even if you're undocumented, you can get it. Primetime's been warning you about this for years. If Juan feels he's trapped in Juanita's body, Gavin Newsom will give him a sex change on your dime. Fact check me. I dare you. This is all true. And it's more than just boobs.
Were you able to get the hormones or,
Yeah, I did that with my doctor.
So Medi-Cal, you got the breast implants?
Yes.
Wow, taxpayer funded.
Gracias, Gavin. Remember back in 2022, he promised sex changes for everyone, and I mean everyone.
Universal health care for all, regardless of pre-existing condition, regardless of the ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status.
NEPADS nuked the program just last year when he started running for president, and his state ran out of money. So no more new sex changes for migrants unless you're trans-fathered in. Steve Hilton running for governor in California. Steve, first big shout out to Rufo and Manhattan Institute for getting that video. That was that was a little eye-opening. Is this actually happening?
Okay, I can add to it, Jesse. So here's one that we've uncovered. Prisoners in California prisons, trans prisoners, the ones that Kamala took such great pride in giving them what they wanted at the taxpayers' expense, they now get sent to beauty treatments. Beauty treatments for trans prisoners. Leg waxing, you name it. This is real. And there's much more to uncover. 2 months ago, I set up Cal Doge to dig into all this. We're doing it, Rufo's doing it, James O'Keefe, Nick Shirley, of course, the Vice President Fraud Task Force. It's all adding up to total rage building in California. This is what they're doing with our money. We pay the highest taxes in the country for the worst results, and now we know why. This is where it's going. It's another reason why I'm really confident I'm going to kick them out this year.
No, I hope so. I mean, but there's a lot of guys in California that are like, all right, we're giving some migrants a new pair. Not that bad, but it adds up. I mean, it's like, what is it, 10 grand, 20 grand for breast implants? You are going to soak the taxpayers in California. Soak them.
But it's also, I talk to legal immigrants in California the whole time. They're furious about this. You go down the grocery store, you've got illegal immigrants at taxpayer expense, EBT cards to pay for their groceries, free cell phones, they get their rent paid. It's just on and on. The basic rule under Newsom's California and the Democrats is if you break the law and do the wrong thing, you get rewarded. If you follow the law and do the right thing, you get punished. That's what's going on. That's what we got to turn around.
Yeah, and now everybody in the world knows, because they watch Primetime, they're going to find out. You can get a new set when you go to California because it's so corrupt. Now, Swalwell, this is a bad guy. We're innocent until proven guilty, but there are a lot of women and they have the exact same story. Do you think people like Nancy knew about this guy?
Oh, of course. Of course. Look, I knew about it. I heard these stories for months. Didn't have the actual evidence. You didn't have the names of the people coming forward, the details of the alleged assaults and crimes. But this was an open secret. Democrats were talking about it. The media was talking about it in California ever since he entered the governor's race. Before as well. I mean, there are videos that are out there from Nick Sauter, for example, had a video over a year ago about Swalwell bragging in a restaurant about how he's bored with his wife and only sleeps with a 10. I mean, this pattern of behavior, fine, they didn't know the specifics, but the pattern of behavior was known to all of them, and they backed him anyway. The teacher unions endorsed him. The SEIU, the Democrat machine, was getting behind him. Adam Schiff, all these people, Pelosi was getting ready to endorse. And now that shows that this whole Democrat Party in California collapsing into chaos, sleaze, and scandal.
Well, I think I know how you're going to win. You just run on "I'm not a creep" and no free breast implants for migrants. It's a slam.
Or leg waxing for trans prisoners.
Or leg waxing for trans prisoners. All right, well, good luck out there in California. It is, it's cuckoo out there, but I think you can fix it, Steve. Thank you. Hunter Biden has fled the United States, and Sydney Sweeney at it again. Water's cooler. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. All right, Kat. She is touring the country right now. Check out her dates. Look at that.
Yeah.
What a set.
Yeah.
Honolulu.
Vegas.
Oh, what a junket.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah.
Here we go. Naples. Oh, I'm going to give you some restaurant recommendations after this. You're in good hands. First up, Sydney Sweeney has great jean shorts. She's back with a new ad. Nobody's called her a Nazi yet. But they're upset about her new hit HBO show. They think her character is a little too freaky deaky.
You've been a bad, bad dog.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof.
I feel bad for both of those people watching that. Don't you a little? I watched Euphoria.
Yes.
And I waited all this time for the new season. Unfortunately, now a lot of the actors are a little too big for it, and I feel like they're not really trying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll do a lot of things, right? But if somebody says put on this dog costume, that's when I'm out.
Well,
That's when I'm out.
She's also in a diaper.
A diaper. Someone says put on this diaper and act flirty. I'm out. I don't care what the check is. But I
don't know. It depends. Can we hear how much the check is?
I am going to take that back. Everybody has a price.
The $1 million
Everybody
man.
Everybody
has a price.
But it is, you know, I do like that she just does. She's like, yep, this is what I'm doing. And she doesn't apologize for it. She's like, yeah, I was in a dog costume.
Yeah.
Woof, woof.
Yeah, you already called me a Nazi. What are you going to do?
Yeah, true. That's absolutely true.
All right, so now we have Goodbye Irish Rosie, Hello African Hunter. Hunter Biden's lawyer said he fled the country after Daddy left the Oval. So where did he settle down? Ukraine? China? His lawyer won't say. But Hunter has been spotted in South Africa with his wife. So Hunter fled the country.
Have you ever been to South Africa, though?
No.
It's so great.
Oh, I'm jealous now.
I went on a safari with Kennedy.
Yes.
Actually, everybody thought we were a lesbian couple because who goes on a safari with their gal pals? That's like not a thing that people do. And I had the best experience ever. I was like, I kind of want to move here and be a tour guide. And my husband was like, please, we have a life. So then I came back.
Wait. Your husband was cool with you going on an African safari with Kennedy without him?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Just what two gal pals do.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
And risky.
Yeah, it was great.
Do you have any pictures of you and Kennedy with the rhinos?
There are so many, and then we stayed in this treehouse that usually only couples stay in. So they put the two chairs on the same side of the dinner, and we had to be like, "We appreciate you showing us how cool you are with this. However, we're both with men."
Okay, South Africa, very open-minded.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that after their history, but you know what? We all change. Finally, maybe love really is blind. Jelly Roll's wife says she never dated a man for his looks. Ouch. So what do women want? Well, Kate Hudson says her fiancé isn't her type.
He's just such a good man, and I'm not so sure I was like attracted to the good man. I liked a feisty, wild type.
Oh, did she settle?
See, I didn't like my husband at first either. But then but then here's the thing. It was because I thought he was too conventionally attractive.
Oh.
So he was too conventionally attractive.
Good recovery.
No, but I'm serious. I feel like people who are a little ugly are more interesting to look at sometimes.
Oh.
So, but then after the second date, we never spent another night apart. So.
Great.
It was love at second sight.
Love at second sight. I think that's a TV show. Just don't dress up like a dog.
Oh, I wish we had another hour.
More prime time, straight ahead. That's all for us tonight. DVR the show. Sean Hannity's next. And always remember, I'm Waters, and this is my world.